All right. Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. It is Monday, July 3rd. Happy almost Independence Day. Markets will be closed a little bit early at 1 p.m. today and obviously closed for the July 4th holiday. Let me make sure I get my microphone working because it's not on. All right, there we are. Markets are off to a small green start with the S&P currently up by, let's see, whenever this decides to load, and actually down by 0.1%. So we have a mixed market this morning with the NASDAQ currently up by 0.1%, the S&P down 0.1%. We're seeing the Russell 2000 currently down by 0.2%, and we're seeing the Dow Jones Industrial currently down by 0.3%. So pretty mixed market, pretty down across the board besides the Qs. A lot of that being led by Tesla delivering really good delivery numbers over the weekend. If we go and search for Tesla Q2 deliveries, they delivered 466,000 vehicles in a single quarter. And if we remember back to 2020, they were doing 500,000. So basically they did what they were doing in a year back in 2020, now in a single quarter. So we're really seeing the compounding effects of their efforts to ramp up production. So pretty amazing to see. Tesla's currently up by 5.5% to $276. Let's check the options chain. I don't think that anybody was going that far out of the money for this week, but we'll see. Yeah, all these calls are in the money now, so the market makers are going to have to buy a ton of shares up here. Next strike prices that are hot, 280 with a 12,000, and then the 285 with 14,000 in open interest, and then the 300 strike price with 27,000 in open interest. But there's not a lot between 285 and 300 to where we would see that continuation, but we could see the volume coming in today. Watching on the left, we'll be eyeing to see if people are just buying more out of the money calls or if they stop with that 285 strike price. If they do, that could be a pivot point later on this week. So that is the market so far this morning. Let's see. We do have a couple of economic events today with PMI coming out in 15 minutes, the manufacturing PMI for the U.S. coming out at 9:45. Construction spending at 10 o'clock. Should probably come in pretty good, I think. And then, let's see, ISM manufacturing PMI at 10 a.m. So, going to have some data coming out that could cause some volatility, but markets are currently up with the Qs at least. So we shall see how this unfolds today. Good morning. Welcome. All right, there is the opening bell for us. Q starting at $370, almost on the nose. We got Google, Microsoft, Meta, and Apple in the red today. Amazon is currently up by 0.7% at 131. This would be a new high for the last couple of days with the previous high at 131.30. Actually, sorry, that is not accurate. 131.25. Currently at 131.19. Pulling back from the high right now. sitting just below 131 at the moment, 130.9. Looks like Tesla's still managing to come up here. Ton of volume, I'm assuming, going into this trade. Yeah, a lot of volume compared to Friday even. Yeah, it looks like Amazon's got that 131 level in check for right now. Well, let's see. Nvidia's up 1%, Tesla's up 6.5%, Amazon's up 0.5%. Meta's only down 0.05 or 0.1. Apple's down 0.2, Microsoft 0.3, and Google down 0.6. So Google doing the worst so far this morning, 0.7%. But not really that bad of a day. Not too bad of a day for Google. And across the board for the big tech names, they're doing okay. All right, so I had to cut some losses on Amazon there for some puts that I had bought on Friday since it's trading at 131. And that closes at 74, it looks like. 074. All right. Let's check in on Tesla. Still up. Crap ton of volume going into the trade. Volume is piling into the 280s, but they're not going past that strike price. It doesn't seem like there's actually a decent amount of 300s that are getting bought right now. 8,300 there. Versus 11,000 of the 280s. Looks like IWM is actually managing to go up first thing on the open, 188.20. We got the manufacturing report coming out at 9:45 that could change that up, but nice little rally in the first 5 minutes on IWM, the Russell 2000. Looks like the VIX is dropping from the typical over the weekend jump. And SPY is just trading flat right now. The hottest trade right now seems to be Tesla, up 6.5%. And maybe if you get IWM above the highs from Friday at 188.50 and above, that could turn into a hot trade today too. Good morning, Peter. Apple seems to be pulling back from Friday's after-hour high. So this one waited until after the bell to jump above 190. Actually, no, that was Thursday. But traded to 194.50 and pulled back from 194 today to the downside. Well, let's see where the options are lying. 46,000 are an open interest. Drops to 27,000 for the 197.5. It's not too bad of a drop to where I would think that we would get a pivot from 194.50 or 195. Let's see what else we can try to scoop up today. There's a steep drop in volume from 280 on Tesla. That could give us a pivot from 280 to 282.5. It goes from 15,000 in volume to just 3,000 in volume. And the open interest actually doesn't drop that bad. 11,000 to, or I guess 12,000 to almost 10,000. So could be more to rally at 280. That is where we ended up peaking in the pre-market. So we'll have to see if we can manage to go above it significantly today. If so, could have the gamma squeeze this week all the way into 300 is the mark that the market makers would be looking for. And there is also a slope trend line on the weekly chart going from the highs to two lower highs back in early 2022, in January 2022, and then in April 2022. So that could be another resistance level for Tesla to turn around on. But right now we're trading at 279.20, so getting real close to that 280 mark. Any idea what caused the big gap up this morning? I'm thinking that the sentiment on Tesla is what caused the gap up for the Qs today. For SPY, it's just trading flat, so there's no real gap up there. And then for IWM, I'm really not sure why that trade pivoted so quickly. Probably just a bunch of out of the money options getting bought, my assumption, for the 190 strike price. Let's see. No, that's July 3rd expiration. That's today's expiration. Not a lot of 190s that are getting bought for today's expiration. You see a drop in volume past 189 to where we might end up coming back down if we go up there. But the open interest is actually pretty high to maybe support us continuing to go up at 190. So we'll see if that plays out after the data comes out this morning. And then for this week, the Friday expiration, you're looking at 8,800. There's actually more open interest for the 191 strike price, interesting enough. 13,000 versus 8,800 at the 190. It's kind of unusual. But, yeah, we'll see in the next 5 minutes how that PMI comes out and how that'll affect the markets today. And then Tesla's gapping up just based on delivery numbers over the weekend. I think the expectations was 220,000 and they did 260. So huge surprise beat. What Tesla trades am I looking at? I'm thinking about going short on it, betting against the grain, which, you know, could go south on me. But with that 280 level and a steep drop off from 20,000 in volume to 4,500 in volume, I think that could end. That could act as a pivot there. You do have a lot of volume going into the 290s, but they basically skipped over everything from 280 to 290. So usually that means that the stock will end up turning around on us. So we'll see what we can snag on Tesla. Kind of don't like buying this ahead of the July 4th holiday. Just in case it just kind of trades flat around 280, that would be a bit troublesome for the time decay on it. But let's try to find something decent here. 270 puts going for $280 at the moment. Tesla just broke 280 right now. So we'll add it to the bottom. Yeah, they're going for 280 right now. For this week's 270 put. Let's see if people are buying into the 282.5 yet. No. Not really. My only concern with it is there's not a lot of drop in the open interest from 11,800 to 9,800. So can't really trust the pivot as much. Let's see if we can find anything else. Tesla's trading at 282 almost now, so those dropped to 250 a pop instead of the 280 we were looking at them initially. Nvidia's pulling back from 428.98. It's almost 429 there. I wonder if there's a drop in the open interest and volume at 430. Yeah, there's a really bad drop in open interest and volume there. That probably caused that pivot. Let's see if we can find any others. All right, one more minute till the PMI report. I could shake things up. Amazon's still trading at 131. No drop in the volume until you get to 133. Open interest doesn't drop that much though. And then for the put side, not a lot of puts here to hold us back. For Meta, there's really not a lot of options across the board, but let's see. Lots of calls actually. Not many puts at all. Pretty decent drop in open interest and volume at 290, currently trading at 288. So we are getting close to that 290 number. Not as close as I would like to be though. So we'll keep that on the watch list for now. Meta at 290. All right, we should have the PMI report now. IWM just went to 188.73. That is a new high. So must be a decent report. All right, PMI came in at 46.3 versus 46.3 previously. So not continuing to decline at least. Yeah, 49.7 for the main. That's SGD. That's not the US. 46.3 versus 46.3 expected. And this is actually a decline from 48.4 in May. So actually not a good report. So I'm surprised that IWM would be up to a new high here post-report. 188.62 with a high at 188.84. Tesla's still going up here, 283.40. Let's see what everything else is up to. Hughes is pulling back from 370.5. SPY is still flat on the day, 0%. And pulling back after hitting a new high, daily high at least. So it seems like everything is starting to pull back a little bit from this report, which would make sense given that it's not that good considering that manufacturing is continuing to slow down. That would be recessionary. You'd probably see the dollar coming down on this report, I would guess. Yep. It's going to help out gold to go up. Yeah, GLD going up after the report. And let's see, the 10-year coming down with a dollar. And I'm guessing TLT, 10-year treasuries, ETF is going up on it. Yeah. Exactly the response you would expect. But not for stocks. Stocks are kind of wonky on the report. A lot of mixed reactions. Tesla's going up even more on that. So. All right, let's check the Tesla chain again. There's still a drop in volume at 282.5, but they went way past it at 283.50 right now. And there is a drop in volume and open interest at 285. So this is what you want to look for a pivot. 285 to 287.50. You go from 18,000 volume to 4,400, and then from 14,400 in open interest to just 2,000. Tesla's currently trading at 283.50, so we'll give it a little bit more time here to get into the 284s, and then try to take a trade on it. Maybe looking at 275 is a pretty popular one. And then the 270, pretty decent too. Currently going for 355, and we want to see 284 plus before we open this. Oh, wrong expiration. I was about to say that was not 1600 when I looked at it. All right, contract is going for 355 right now. Still waiting to see 284. A lot of volume going into this trade though. Right now in the last 5 minutes. Can't really see how much volume that was, but decent uptick there. How to get options on your chart for Thinkorswim. So go to the options chain, right click the option that you want to view, go down to copy and then the ticker for it, and then you paste it into the chart. All right, well, it doesn't look like we're getting to 284 again here, so I might have to take my chances and buy a little bit higher than I wanted. Yeah, I'll pay the extra $5 or $10 for it. All right, open that contract, 275 put, Tesla, new options alert, premium. Just opened a new Tesla 275 put, expiring 7/7 at 360. And I did not type that right. Looks like I had to overpay on that. Even with a drop in share price, these aren't going up. Spot SPX expected 44.65 today. Let's see. SPX 44.65. Currently at 44.50 basically. I don't know, after the PMI report coming in worse than expected, it's probably going to be flat or down would be my expectations. But markets can have some pretty odd reactions to bad data, so not exactly a guarantee. Like you're seeing basically everything screaming recession with the dollar down. You're seeing treasury rates coming down. You're seeing gold going up after the report, which would usually send stocks down, but not getting that much of a reaction out of it. Yep, nice little pullback on Tesla here. And the 282 a little bit below. I'm going to watch to see if it goes back above 285. Set my losses there. Yeah, even with that $1 drop, though, it didn't get any rise in the price of that option. It's trading at 360. The lowest that it went was 340 and then 350. Now it's going for 377, so a little bit more expensive, but it's not gaining that much with the $1 drop. Delta is negative 32 for it. So if we do get another couple dollars, maybe we go back to 280. should be going for more. Let's see. 387, 380 plus the 32 delta will be 410 or so. Meta's getting close to 290, where we wanted to short it, hit 289.11. Not quite as close to 290 as I would like. Let's see. 290 strike to 292.5. You see about half the volume and about a fifth of the open interest. So that should create a decent pivot on Meta, close to 290. Looks like Tesla just bounced at about 281. $280.72, so I think as soon as they saw 280 up front, they reversed that mark. Should have the other PMI report coming out in 2 minutes. Could spark some more volatility, but we already had the other PMI at 9:45, so should already be priced in. Meta's getting closer to that 290 mark that we're looking for. New high at 289.19. Looks like all the other tech names seem to be pulling back here. Apple's down to 193 from 194 this morning. Microsoft ended up peaking at 341 almost. Google actually rebounding in the morning from 120. It's not a lot of volume or open interest for the 120 strike price on the puts, so not much reason for it to pivot. But here we go. Meta trading in the 289s up to 289.32. So let's see if we can find a good put for it. Pretty cheap. I mean, you can go with the 285, only going for 200. Could go all the way down to 280 for 75. I think I'd rather pay the extra money for the 285. Get a little bit closer to the money. All right, they're going for 205 now from 185. We're looking at them. I'm not trying to pay more than 200. Ideally, we can buy them in the 180s. Yeah. Friday was dead flat for Qs. After the morning session, at least after the first 30 minutes, it just traded flat all day at about 270 or 370. All right. Well, Meta's trading at 280, 880. Not exactly the price I wanted to get in on this option, but they're going for 195. Oh, there we go. 190 is the price I wanted for it. Order is in, filled at 190. And the other PMI just came out. .46 versus 47.2, so actually worse than expectations. And down from 46.9 for the month of May. So actually worse than the 945 manufacturing PMI report that we got. Employment ended up dropping to 48.1 versus 50.8 expected, down from 51.4 at the last one. New orders was slightly better than expected, 45.6 versus 44 expected, up from 42.6, so that's actually an improvement. But still pretty negative, being below 50. Construction spending was better than expected. Construction has been doing really well lately. 0.9% versus 0.5% expected, up from 0.4% for April. This is the May. And then manufacturing prices actually ended up dropping 41.8 versus 44 expected, down from 44.2 in May. So prices are coming down for manufacturing. That would be disinflationary, also recessionary. So overall, this report is very recession vibes. Looks like we're seeing Tesla at 281 again. We'll see if we can get into 280. And Meta's all the way back to 287.50, so sharp pullback. And QQQ still trading up this morning. 370.4. Trading lower from almost 371. Let's check the options chain here for today's expiration. You don't see a substantial drop in volume till 372. So we could still end up going to 372 by the end of the day. And then there's just sharp pullback in the open interest at 372 to 373 as well. So it still has a little bit of upward. Movement potential to 372 today. All right, Tesla down to 280.4. My put is trading for 420 right now. Up $58 or 16%. I'd like to see it below 280, but I don't know if we'll get that. There's a drop in volume from 280 to 277.5 for the puts. About 50% there, and then there's not any open interest to go by. The open interest does build into 275 to where we might come down that far, but there's a trough in the volume at the 277.5 to where we might end up catching that 280 as a support, which is almost exactly where it bounced, 280.04. Yeah, so 280 could be a pivot on Tesla, but Meta, on the other hand, doesn't have anything to act as a support here. So probably going to try to get out on the Tesla trade. And hold on to that Meta. They ended up peaking at 429 for the contracts that I got. Currently going for 390. Try to sell them for a little bit more than 400. Maybe 410. still has bullish momentum going for it. 60 on the RSI. All right, now we're into the 280s at 280.89. Contracts are going for 395, so still not where I want them. Getting close to it at 410. Not quite. $405 now. All right. Back to that 280 level again. Trading for 415. And back to 405. God dang it. As soon as it gets close to 280, it's going up. Right at the lows there. 280.19. All right. I'll close them at 415. I think that's the best price we'll get for them unless it drops under 280, which I don't expect here. Crap. Yeah, so that double bottom at 280 is supporting those decreasing the price on those contracts now. 400. All right. Trying to close them at 415 and out. Took profits on the Tesla 275 put, expiring 7/7 at 415. Okay, now going back into the meta trade. Looks like Amazon's pulling back sharply from 132. There's not that bad of a drop in volume there to where I would expect that to be the top for today. But let's check in Meta. Finding some supports at about 287.50. Don't think that we have to worry about that level though. Let's see, there's decent amount of calls versus the puts that could act as some support there. But I don't think I expect a pivot at 287.50 yet. Alright, close those Tesla puts at a decent time. Pull back to 385 right now from 415 we sold them out. Meta's getting real close to that 287.50 support again. Let's see if we can find any more of these pivot trades. Hopefully one on the upside would be nice, since we've got 2 downside trades. Nvidia at 420 would be a good pivot, but still trading at 425, so not close enough there. You could go on Tesla, but the open interest doesn't give us any clue as to pivoting at 280. The volume does. For Amazon, lots of 130, 129 puts, and then a drop at 128. So we could bounce at 129 if we manage to get all the way down there. But open interest is relatively the same. For Microsoft, a lot of volume and open interest at 340 if we get there. That could act as a squeeze up until 345. But we need to get above 340 first with some confidence. We got above it for a little bit to 341 almost, but pull back from that. So we can spend some actual time above 340, a significant amount of time. Could have that squeeze play out. Let's see. And for the puts, there's not a pivot until 327.5 for the volume, and open interest just kind of builds into that, so can't rely on that. Looks like Meta just closed below 287.50. New low there. Oh no, we just lost one of our stocks. Apple. Google is down the worst today. 0.6%. Don't see any drops in volume and open interest. So 119 for the volume, and then 117 for the open interest. Meta's about to go red, almost. Contracts are going for 245. Up 54, or about 30%. So yeah, I think these are the only 2 trades for today. Tesla and Meta just closed below 287 right now. And just barely in the red. Loading up on Pfizer, PFE. PFE's been doing pretty horribly, so wouldn't be opposed to that trade as a contrarian trade. 36.50. I'd probably want to set my expiration date pretty decent, 3 months out or so, just to give it some time. My only problem with Pfizer and the vaccine companies, or medical companies, whatever you want to call them, is that the government's kind of defunding them compared to the last 2 years when they've done really well. So if there's not a lot of government support for these companies, then they're not going to perform as well as they have in 2020 and 2021. So personally, I would be hesitant to get into the trade, but it is trading pre-pandemic levels, $37. So we'll see. I'm sure they probably got a lot of cash from the COVID era to help them into building new ventures, but I would say the best place right now that the government is spending a crap ton of money on is construction. So home builders have been doing really hot, but that's kind of late to that trade. But yeah, I like it as a contrarian trade for Pfizer, PFE. Yeah, and you're going with leaps, so you got plenty of time for those to play out too. Meta gaining some support at about 286.50 up to 287 now. Pretty quick jump there. I'm not sure why that would be a support, but let's check. That is where it traded for a majority of the after hours, roughly a little bit above actually. And the pre-market low might be what's supporting it on a technical basis. Still a pretty decent way from the morning low, which was 285.50. But yeah, pretty sharp reversal at 286.50 so far. You're seeing Tesla going up now to 282.5. Again, bouncing on that 280 level almost exactly. So definitely glad we got out of those trades. They'd be in the red now. Let's check Q's bouncing at 369.87, basically 370. Lots of puts at 370, but also a decent amount of calls, 30,000 versus 36,000 puts. So the volume could keep us kind of treading water above 370. But I don't think that will be above 372. So my guess, this probably ends up trading flat, chopping around between 370 and the lows, and 372 would be a new high for the day. But yeah, I think we're going to chop around in those levels, 370 to 372 for Qs today. All right. Keeping our eye on Meta, ended up coming down from 287.67. So hopefully we don't chop around, but RSI is right at 50. So not saying if it's bullish or bearish. But it is down from 70 on the RSI, so nice pullback in strength. You'd want to see it below 50 to go bearish. And that's a pretty decent reversal candle if it does finish lower in the next couple of minutes. Meta back in the red, down 0.05. All right, let's check NVIDIA. See if we have anything here. 430 would be a pivot point. Still trading at 426, so we have a long way to reach that, but it did peak at 429 this morning and pull back from there. Looking at the puts, more calls than puts getting bought at the 425 strike price. But let's see, the 420 pretty popular, 5,000, 5,100 puts there, 4,500 in open interest. Not a lot of open interest for the 422 and a halves and 425, so especially compared to the calls. Yeah, really not seeing anything else to trade right now. Q's trading at 370, so pulling back. But I'm still thinking this is going to get caught in the range 370 to 372. It's up 0.15%, so basically flat. They are getting into the 369 puts now. Now that is below 370, but not a lot of volume building up there. All right, Meta's down to 286 now, 286.07. Nice drop. And this one could actually have a pivot at 285. Not based on the open interest, just based on the volume here. Contracts are up 100 or about 50% right now. How much did we pay for them? 190, going for 297. Getting close to those morning lows at 285.60. A lot of volume going into these puts. 295. The highest that they went this morning was 320. I want to sell a little bit above 300, or at 300 would be good. $305 is ideal or above. RSI is looking bad at 35. So it does have that downward momentum, but you are probably going to get some support at that morning low, 285.50. About 30 cents lower. Q's actually going bearish at 40 on the RSI. Slightly breaking through that 369.75 level. Down to 369.57. And even Tesla pulling back here. Again into the 280 level. So if we get a pullback across the board, we can hold on to that meta trade. But I'm still thinking that we'll get supported at 370 for Qs. All right, here we go. Testing those meta lows. Still don't have the break yet. But right there on it. Yeah. Doesn't seem to want to clear the lows yet. Q's is pulling back some more. Just below that 369.75 mark. Right at it right now. With a new low at 369.56 this morning. Just about 10 cents lower. They're getting kind of crazy with the bid-ask spread for the meta trade. 295, 297 to 305. I'd really like to see the new low, but I don't know if we'll get it. It's very close, but not close enough. Not following through with the low. Q's trading below 369.50, so that does give this trade some support. And just right there, immediately on the low. NASDAQ QQQ is back down to break even from positive 0.3% this morning. IWM is actually still up at 188.30. So IWM kind of defying the rest of the market right now. All right, well, looks like Meta doesn't want to get below 285.50 yet. So I'm going to try to close these contracts at 300 to 305. Maybe 310 if I'm lucky, but I don't think so. Retesting the lows again for the third time now. Oh, actually, Tesla just went below 280 there. 279 and change. Nice pullback. So many red candles on Meta. Down to this level. I think I'll hold it with Q's falling. Bearish momentum should help to accelerate this trade to the downside, but yeah, that 280.5 level is what I'm currently worried on. Q's down to 369 now. Pretty rough drop there. Alright, this should be the break. Right below. There we go. Contracts are going for 315. Alright, well I think I'm going to close them at 315. Take my 130 in profit on that trade. Alright, there it goes. Took profits for the Meta 285 put expiring 7/7 at 315. And this one's probably going to keep dropping with Q's close to 369. But 130 in profit on that trade, so not too bad. About 70%. IWM pulling back with all this mess too. But yeah, that's all the trades for today, I think. unless we can find another pivot somewhere. And I will catch y'all on Wednesday. Market is closed tomorrow. Market also closes at 1 p.m. today. Remember that. Let's see. Went short coin. My 10% called it of the day. Very nice. Don't think we'll see a lot of movement. If we do, it's probably... Let's see. For Qs, you want to see this below, I think... 368 was the mark. Yeah, there's a decent amount of 368, 367 puts getting bought. Looking at the volume in comparison to the calls, only 7,800 and 3,500 calls and tens of thousands of puts. And then the huge drop in calls at 367. So if we get below 368, I would say it's pretty bearish for the day. But right now, you got the bearish momentum going. It's at 30 on the RSI. But that 370 level, I think, could act as a magnet. Let's see. With 47,000 calls, 52,000 puts. So there might be some incentive from the market makers to try to close it, since that is the most popular strike price today. But yeah. Started in the chart with multiple sets of moving averages. I just go based on the options. Personally, just looking at where's the open interest, where's the volume going, and trying to get the pivots. That way you risk the least to make the most, like that Amazon trade. And we got out at a good time, surprisingly. Ended up reversing just below 130.5. But yeah, just going based on the open interest volume, seeing where you see a steep drop like that. For Meta was 290. Nobody was buying above 290, so there wasn't an incentive for market makers to keep sending it up. You saw 7,500 volume to 3,200, and then you saw open interest drop from 7,100 to 1,900. So it's pretty clear that the markets would pivot there for Meta, and then Tesla at 285 was the mark that came down on. So that's what I like to go on. Sometimes it doesn't hit, but when it does, it can pay off pretty big. Like the Meta trade, 70% we got on that. So yeah, that's it for today, and I'll catch y'all on a Wednesday at 9:30. See you, everybody.